Do you sell products on Etsy, eBay, or other platforms? Here's the million-dollar question. What's the most important thing when it comes to selling your products? No, it's not the product description. And no, it's not the price either. It's the image of your product. Let me show you an example. Let's say you're selling mugs with your own custom designs. For example, this one here. This is a mug from my cupboard. So you take a nice picture and upload the mug online. Would you buy this product? This mug? No, probably not. Why not? Well, even if you create a really good product photo with a nice background, the problem is you're probably not the only one selling a product like this, because no matter what you're selling, others are probably selling something similar. I took another studio shot with good lighting, but that didn't really help either. Your product simply gets lost in the crowd. To get noticed, your image has to stand out. And here's how we do that. There's almost nothing that grabs a person's attention more than someone looking you directly in the eyes. It's nearly impossible to look away. And that's exactly how we get the customer to notice your product, by using a friendly-looking model to advertise it. Of course, no one would hire a model and do a photo shoot just for a mug, but that's not necessary at all, because with the help of artificial intelligence, you can create such images in minutes. The mug is real. I want to sell it, but the rest was created with MidJourney. Sure, it's not perfect. Anyone who knows a bit about photo editing can probably guess that the image isn't real. But that doesn't matter, because the goal is achieved. The potential customer has noticed our item in the crowd and will hopefully move their mouse pointer over to our listing. And then something amazing happens. Our AI-generated animation from MidJourney kicks in. The woman drinks from the mug, the coffee steams hot, and the model looks you directly in the eyes and smiles. What's incredible is that I created this animation in just a few seconds. But I'll show you all of that shortly. And hopefully, what happens next is exactly what we're aiming for. The customer clicks on your item. By the way, all of these images of mugs you see here, I didn't steal them from anywhere. I created them within minutes using MidJourney. These are all AI-generated images. The products don't even exist. It's incredible what AI can do nowadays. But let's get started. How did I create the image? Step 1. I used MidJourney to generate the base image for our product. And even though it might not look like it, that was not very hard. Step 2. Our real existing product needs to be inserted into the promotional image. This is the slightly tricky part. Step 3. Turn the base image into an animation. This part goes faster than you might think. So let's begin. I started with a fairly simple prompt that describes the image I wanted to see. Beautiful woman holds a steaming coffee mug. You can include the person's age in the prompt. For example, in her 30s or in her 40s, depending on how old the model should appear. Tip, very important, add something like with blue eyes or with brown eyes to the prompt. Mentioning the eyes ensures that the model looks directly in the camera. Otherwise, as you can see here, the model might hold the mug in front of her eyes. That's not what we want. It helps to describe the real mug you want to insert as accurately as possible. So here, I wrote, the mug is light blue with a white logo. Then I tried to integrate the real mug directly using omni-reference. But that didn't really work, because with MidJourney, the original image always gets slightly manipulated or recreated, and it ends up looking different from the original. If I want to insert a product that I later want to sell, then of course it has to look exactly the same and must not be altered. After several attempts and adjustments, I played around a bit with the wording of the prompt. I experimented with some MidJourney parameters, like stylization and weirdness, and so on. In the end, I added one important word: steaming. Instead of just writing coffee mug, I wrote steaming coffee mug, which made the mug actually emit steam in the image, just the way we want it later. At the end of the prompt, I also added a few keywords like stock cover, super realistic, or studio lighting to guide the image more toward a sharp, professional product photo. At the end, MidJourney generated an image that I was happy with. I decided to go with this one, here. Then I hit upscale so that MidJourney would generate it in higher resolution. And now, we move into the editing stage, where we want to insert our real mug. To do that, we need to switch from the Create interface to the Edit function and bring our own mug into the image. Here's a very important tip. The mug that the model is holding and my photographed mug did not match in perspective at all. So I rephotographed the mug, making sure the perspective is exactly the same as in our AI-generated image. Now, we just need a transparent version of the mug. That's relatively quick to do with MidJourney. We go to the Edit function in MidJourney and upload the photo we took. It takes a moment to load. Once it's there, we use the so-called Smart Select tool to select the mug. It's pretty straightforward. Asterisk, I clear it again. We click Include and select the mug. Sometimes you'll need to place 2 or 3 points on the mug so that it's recognized correctly. Let's place a 4th point. Now the mug is selected. And we choose Erase Background to make the background transparent. Next, we need to select the inside of the handle as well. We also have to place 2 or 3 points there until it's selected, and then choose Erase Selection. Now at first glance, it looks like something done in MS Paint, very pixelated. There are dozens of tools that could do this better, but that doesn't matter at all, because that jagged edge will later blend into our background image, and MidJourney will completely recreate it. So it's absolutely fine that it looks pixelated for now. Once we're done, we can click Download Image at the bottom right to download the image, and then switch back to the Create platform at the top. We select the image into which we want to insert our mug using MidJourney and click Edit on the right-hand side. At this point, I recommend copying the prompt we used to generate this image. We'll need it again shortly. Then at the bottom right, we click Open Edit tab, and we can begin inserting our mug into the scene. At the bottom left, we click on Add and now insert exactly the mug that we have previously exported with a transparent background. That takes just a short moment. It's a bit large, so we will use Move Resize at the top to adjust it slightly, just enough so that it fits into the image properly. I mostly orient myself by the handle on the left because that's where we'll need to create a clean transition later on. I wouldn't worry too much about the actual size of the mug. All right, I think this works well enough for now. Next, we click again on Layer 2, which is our original image. Go to the Paint function and select Erase. Now we erase a small section from the original image. That is the area that will be re-rendered by MidJourney in the next step. So we remove everything down here, especially the base of the mug. Okay, that's looking good for now. Now it's very important. We don't tell MidJourney to render the edge or anything specific. Instead, we scroll up and re-enter the original prompt, the one we used to create this image in the first place. And then we click Submit. Once MidJourney has finished rendering, it gives us 4 new images. They're not all perfect, but this one here is pretty good. You can see MidJourney re-rendered the area around the mug. Now comes the second part of editing the mug. We go back to the erase function and now remove the handle, because right now the handle is placed in front of the model's hand, but in reality, the hand should be holding the mug inside the handle. So now we erase that part. Also removing a small portion of the mug's rim and the handle, and let MidJourney re-render this part. Again, we use the original prompt and click Submit. I always do this step by step and only modify small areas, because I've found that when you give MidJourney too large an area to regenerate, the results can get a little messy or off. All right. Fast forward a bit. MidJourney finishes the render, and we can see in the results that the mug has been nicely integrated. However, MidJourney still made a mistake. The hand is now under the mug when it should actually be overlapping it, as if the fingers are holding the edge of the mug. So we go back to the Erase tool. Remove a bit more from that area on the side, and give MidJourney this region once again for re-rendering. We just have to be careful not to cut into the design on the mug. Once this rendering is finished, we can see that MidJourney has done exactly what I wanted. It placed the hand on top of the mug and even added a small shadow effect. If you cycle through the 4 generated images, some may not look right. But this one here looks pretty decent. Now we just notice that the edge of the mug still looks a bit pixelated, so we're going to refine that. We erase just a tiny strip of the edge, not too much, because we don't want MidJourney to change the mug's shape. We just want a clean transition. Once that rendering is done, we see that MidJourney has now recalculated the edge and integrated the mug neatly into the image. You can tell that the area I gave MidJourney to re-render was still a little too large, because inside that transparent area, MidJourney starts adapting things, and that can slightly change the mug's shape. So, you have to be careful. Maybe next time, make the selected area even smaller to ensure only the transition is re-rendered. But otherwise, I'm basically done for now. Now I just click on Upscale at the bottom, and then the image will appear later on my Create page once it's fully rendered. So the rendering took a little while, but the image is now finished, and now comes the final part. Now we want to turn the image into an animation, and I was honestly amazed at how well that worked. On the right-hand side, there's a function called Animate Image, and I simply clicked on Auto and let it render the whole thing in low motion. Once it's done, you'll see that MidJourney does exactly what I had in mind. The woman drinks from the coffee mug. She looks you directly in the eyes, and the steam that you can see in the image actually starts to move and steam in the animation. So let's take a look at the result. It really just took a few seconds, and MidJourney rendered a beautiful video from our image. We could now download this as the final step and embed it on our website, on Etsy, or wherever we want to sell something. If you enjoyed the video, I would really appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel and give it a thumbs up. That helps others find the video more easily.